the YWCA of Northeastern New York. Today we have a very special guest, and you're going to learn more about her, but you can see her right now. Her name is Catherine Hover, and you're going to love her, but the title is she's founder and purveyor of fun. Now, what is the butterfly effect? Well, we are an empowerment series where volunteer hosts such as myself interview incredible women from throughout the capital region. But none of these programs would be possible unless we had sponsors. And I must say that Pursuit is an incredible sponsor of the Butterfly Effect. And Pursuit provides businesses and affordable loans and resources so that they can transform and grow. They're an Albany-based, community-focused lender with 100% of the monies invested in the success of their clients. So if you're a small business owner or looking to funds to start, grow, or recover, you can learn more by going to www.pursuitlending.com. So again, thanks to Pursuit for making this program possible. And now, if I could officially welcome you, Catherine Hover, welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm humbled to be your host for today. Founder and purveyor of fun. Oh my gosh. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Everybody's going to love your background. So I'm going to give you the floor, if I may.
Awesome. Well, Sharon, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So a little bit about myself. I'm originally from New Orleans. I moved here with my husband about 10 years ago for his job. And it was then that we founded and opened Saratoga Paint and Sip Studio, which will be celebrating 10 years in April. I can't even believe that it's been 10 years already. But we essentially moved here, had no idea about Saratoga Springs or that anything was north of New York City. You know, we hear that all the time, and I experienced that, you know, so we just landed right in Saratoga by chance. And we fell in love with it, and we saw lots of opportunities to, you know, create a better life for ourselves and a better life for our children. And so I also am a mother of 3 girls. So it's important to kind of, that's just laced throughout my story. I think it's a big part of who I am and what I do and why I do what I do is because I have these 3 little girls watching me, and I just want to give them every opportunity that I did have and also that I didn't have. So that's kind of what has led to opening Palette Community. It is a co-working space, but more so a community of female founders, small business owners, stay-at-home moms, career women, and a few men that have banded together to support each other in career and life through shared resources, programming, events, and lots of happy hours.
Nothing wrong with that. And that's all good. First off, if your kids are watching, you have to give a shout out to the girls.
Yes. Well, none of them are watching. They're all in school. Thank God. Because after a year of, you know, last school year was quite a, you know, wreck. And obviously the end of my daughter's kindergarten year was just completely turned upside down. So I am so grateful. They're all in school. And my littlest is 2 and she's with her Mimi. And so my 3 daughters are 7, Posey 7, Ruby is 3, and Zia just turned 2 in August.
What great names. Now, purveyor of fun. It's got to have a story. How did you?
You know what? Actually, so I have to be honest. I can't take credit for the title. I stole it from my dear friend Shaq, and he had that on his LinkedIn profile like years and years ago. I saw that. I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest title, and I'm totally gonna steal it one day. So I think it's funny. I don't ever really see myself or identify with the role of like CEO or founder. I think we're all founders. We're all finding our way. We're all creating things in our unique ways. And so I never really those titles never resonated with me. I don't like president. And I'm a big, like one of my major mottos, I have several, but you know, you can't take yourself too seriously. So I think Purveyor of Fun is just, it was the one that fit well with me. And I think in life, I've been very underestimated a lot of the times, and I've managed to kind of use that as a strength versus thinking of it as a weakness. So I don't take myself too seriously. I hope not many people take me too seriously. It's kind of like my secret weapon.
But you know what? That's great. And I totally agree with you. We were talking earlier before we came on camera, for those of you who are watching. And we were talking because my cards say CEO. But if you look at the card, the definition right on the card says Chief Encouragement Officer. So I'm with you. You know, just because you own businesses and you're successful doesn't mean that you have to have a stuffy title or you have to act that way. And, you know, if you're going to have a business, if it's your purpose and your passion, you should also be having fun. So kudos to you. So I've got to have a question here. Somebody had to inspire you when you were younger. Who was that person?
So I am inspired by so many people, but I have to say the biggest impact off the top of my head. I mean, obviously my mom. I can't not say my mom has inspired me and guided me to some extent. But my very first boss ever was Monica Fulton, and I hope she's watching because he was just the most, I would say, the most impactful to the trajectory of my career and just outlook on life. I was lucky to have her as a boss. She really demonstrated what good leadership looked like and encouragement and kind of like giving me the autonomy to figure things out on my own. And just, she's been just so pivotal, and I still keep in touch with her to this day. Obviously social media allows everyone to keep in touch much easierly now and effectively. But yeah, she was just the best. And my first job was at the Limited too. I don't know if you remember that store.
I do remember that.
I think it's Justice now, but I was 14 and I walked into the mall. I loved shopping. I loved fashion, you know, so I wanted to work there so badly and get a discount. That was like the biggest part of it. And
That's the
yeah. And I actually did an interview with her. She had taken on the job like, you know, maybe a week after I was hired. And so she was the new new manager in, and I was also the new associate in, and we hit it off. And I mean, still to this day, she's in retail. And I think everyone should have a job in retail. It humbles you. It teaches you so many life skills that you can carry on with you years and years to come, and obviously. And so, yeah, Monica Fulton, if you're out there, thanks, Monica.
Well, it sounds like she was a great mentor. And you know what? You're so right. Because when you start in doing anything with retail or anything that engages the public, learning good customer service skills serves you well in life, because really it is all about providing an experience regardless of what happens. And by the way, you provide a wonderful experience at the Palette. So tell me a little bit. I know I've been at the Schenectady store a number of times. You've got one in Saratoga, which I think is your first one. I was just in the Palette last night. Actually, the YWA hosted a wonderful butterfly effect reception. What a perfect place. I love the rooms. I love the flexibility. Your staff is awesome, by the way. So tell us a little bit about the Palette. And I love it. It's cocktails, conversation, and coffee, and it's everything you want it to be, to form great friendships and meet. I love having formal meetings there. I love having casual conversation. So what was your inspiration and what was your vision?
So the location that I'm in right now, I'm in Saratoga. It's actually right around the corner from the home I was living in at the time. And I put more miles on the stroller than a car, and we live downtown, work downtown. The kids go to school downtown. So I kind of just kept on walking past this space. And when I saw it, that it was like leaving, it was a dress shop at first, was leaving to move out of town. I said, you know, that needs to be a cafe. I want to be, because kind of like selfish reasons, I wanted to have a place to go on my block to get a cup of coffee. And so it's funny, I went to like the Girl Boss Rally, which is this amazing women's conference. I don't even think that they exist really in the same capacity that they did before, but it lit me up. And then the following weekend, I'm a Disney fanatic. We went to Disney World. And then I came home like believing anything is possible. And, you know, it all started with the mouse, you know, and I'm like, I can do this. So I signed the lease the very next week and just started building out the cafe that I felt like I needed in my life. And while we were building out the space here, we found a stairwell inside the building. when we knocked on the wall, and there was a stairwell here that led to this underutilized retail space on the second floor that had been vacant for some time. And I thought, this is where I'm going to create space for a community to grow here. So we need a boardroom, we need shared resources, printers, lockers, bathroom, just all the things. And then more importantly is I don't know if you've ever experienced this when you walk into a coffee shop and all the seats are taken and you're like, oh, okay, I got a 2-hour window, I got a babysitter, and I can't get anything done because I have nowhere to sit. So I knew right off the bat that I wanted to create some application, like an app, so that people could reserve the seat to sit in. So they know when they're waking up in the morning, getting ready for the day, they know they have a seat to sit in. And so that was a part of the whole concept. And, I'm an experienced person. I'm a feeling person. I want, when someone crosses the threshold of this space, I want them to feel welcome and comfortable. And with that, they'll feel confident. So it just kept on evolving as time went on. And in one of our core values is that we evolve quickly. We address the problems, we address the challenges, the barriers, we fix them, and we continue on, and we adapt fast. All of this was demonstrated in real time when COVID hit, March 2020. I had just signed a lease to open a second location, and COVID hit. So we had the opportunity to say, you know what, we're going to step away, we're going to step back, we're going to study the ship that we have in Saratoga and just keep small. And instead I said, no, we have to keep moving forward. This is our opportunity to actually demonstrate what it looks like to show up for one another, continue to carry on even in the face of crisis and uncertainty. Before COVID, life was hard. Before COVID, business was tough and challenging. So during and after is how I felt we could really make an impact and, show what we had that we had, this incredible support system of members. We're pushing 230 members now across the board, and they're from all over the place. They're not just in the capital region, which if you would have told me that, 2 years ago, that we would have, almost like a global membership base, I would have thought you were crazy. So it's been a wild ride, and, it inspires me every day to come into the space. And it's not really about me anymore. It's about our members and about what they're working on. And I actually have the opportunity to have part of what they're building themselves. So their small businesses or their families or whatever it is they're going through. I think I mentioned this earlier to you. I acknowledge I can't be everywhere at the same time. So how can I experience success at a global level, or have some part in other people's days that I would never, I would never be an accountant, right? Like that's not my best use of time. But because of Palette, I have access and a window into the lives of accountants and finance people and interior designers and, real estate agents. I mean, psychiatrists, so it's like we all get these like little windows into each other's lives, and then we're able to advance each other together.
And that's so great because you like me, I'm a big connector. I love connecting with people, and it amazes me because I have several signature events. I have Uniquely You, Putting Women First, The Power of Possible, and then Leadership Summit America. And I'm all about connecting people together, even if I'm speaking wherever I'm speaking around the country, not out in the world these days, but it's about the connections. And, and I love all the connections. And as you're saying, all these different types of people, and you bring them together, and it enriches your life, it enriches everybody's, and it's just so much fun. I think life is a wonderful adventure. You never stop learning, and you never stop growing. So let me ask you, did you have, other than your mother, was there a great mentor in your life, or do you have a key mentor in your life now?
I would have to say my resident unicorn here at Palette, her name is Marcella Hammer. She was a mentor for me but she actually worked for me at Peyton Sip. So when I had my first child, her and another manager that we had at the time at Peyton Sip, the both of them kind of took over the reins. And excuse me, so she eventually went off on her own to open up her own business. And about the same time that she was closing that, And moving on to the next thing, I was starting to really envision what Palette would be like. And I knew I was going to need some help. And who better than someone who has the experience of connecting people, helping people, supporting people. She is like the best caregiver I've ever met. Empathetic, you know, and so we really complement each other. And I would say I get mentorship from her like on a daily basis. And I think that it's important to have not just one mentor. I think it's important to have many different types of people that you go to for advice. Hopefully they have different life experiences that they can bring to the table. And yeah, so I would say Marcella is like my leading mentor right now, if I could just choose one.
Right now. And I love that. I love the right now, because I've had mentors. You know, it's really interesting because you use the word unicorn, and that's how I describe my major mentor in life, which was Bob Danzig, who is the former worldwide publisher of Hearst's newspapers. And I always call him my magic unicorn, and they are magical. So I'm going to just move on a little bit, but moving forward, moving backwards. Okay.
Okay.
So, you know, you started your career at 14 in Limited 2. And you've made some great progressions here in a very short period of time. But there are people and women and men who are watching this today of all ages, from all backgrounds. So what advice would you give now, you're 20, if you were 21, what advice would you give yourself to people who are young starting out? And what advice would you give to your 21-year-old self?
Okay, so two things. First of all, I think, you know, ask for help. I think it's so tough when you're just starting out to ask for help and like be okay with hearing no. I think when I was much younger, especially just starting Paint and Sip, I wanted to do it all on my own. And I remember when I signed the lease for that, you know, it was the first of its kind in the area. There was no other Paint and Sip studios in the capital region when I moved here 10 years ago. And that I saw that opportunity and I felt, oh my God, I have to keep this close to my chest, not tell a soul, and do it all by myself, white knuckling it. And I can remember I was like at the ribbon cutting, essentially by myself. My parents were in town and we had the chamber there, you know, which is great. But I thought we cut the ribbon and I was like, oh, okay, so that's it. We now the real work starts. But I would say that, you know, I had help, you know, financial advisors, and I had to borrow money, you know, from the bank and stuff like that. But I'm talking like asking for help, you know, like whatever the thing is that you know you need to take the next step, go after it and put it out there. Let everyone know what you're working on so they can be part of it. And I experienced this firsthand when we were opening Palette in Saratoga. After the cafe was open, we wanted to build out the community space upstairs, and I was out of money. And so I literally pre-sold memberships to this space that didn't exist yet. And I asked people to come along for the journey from the ground up. And I remember being so scared that no one would come to the party, no one would be interested in what I was trying to do, no one would care. You know, maybe I was the only person who really felt that we needed this in the community. And I was floored when 50 people showed up that night. A lot of them were strangers. I think I only knew like about 8 people, you know, including me and Marcella. And 10 strangers joined that night, and they gave me checks, they gave me credit cards, and they said, go for it, go for it. This is so needed. And no one better than you to put this out there. So I think like my biggest, you know, kind of like key to success is that I went out and I asked for help, and I expected no's. Of course, you're going to get the no's, but it takes like, I mean, what's that quote? It takes like, you know, thousands of no's before you get the one yes. But man, when you get that yes, it is so incredibly to feel supported and valued, and you know, you just do feel like you can do it. So I would say ask for help.
No, ask. You know, and I say that all the time. You know, when we've all heard the word no before, and we've never perished, and nothing has happened. So, you know, when I look at the word, when somebody says no, to me, in my mind, it means not yet, not now. Or I have the 4 SWs. You want to know the 4 SWs?
Yes.
When somebody says no, it's like, some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And that follows just along with what you're saying, because there's going to be somebody, and there always is somebody. So don't give up. And when you hear that word no, to everybody, who is listening, Catherine and I are both telling you, keep going, keep going, keep going. Because, you know, and it's all right to fail. It's all right to fall on your face. Just pick yourself up and keep going. Believe in who you are. Believe in your dream. And you opened in pandemic. Talk about belief and following your purpose and passion. So what special talent do you have that excites you? That's my next question.
Special talent that excites me.
Your superpower.
Well, I would say my superpower is being a mom. You know, I think that it is really like I'm all about putting motherhood on the resume, right? Where it's like you got to put that on there. There's no gap in your career. None of that. You are working, and I think the skill set that comes along with motherhood, which I suppose could be learned, trained. You know, you do kind of figure it out as you go. It's so transferable to, you know, entrepreneurship or small business ownership or life in general, you know, and I think it's a humbling experience for sure, which is what I think we all, you know, my husband says this all the time, like in the morning, like make sure you eat humble pie every morning. That's what we eat for breakfast, because it's important to remember that you're not going to know it all. You're not going to have all the answers. You can't predict the future. There's going to be uncertainty and unpredictability. And no one better teaches that to me than my children.
But you know what? And it's an inspiration because I've worked throughout our daughter's 32 and I've always had businesses. I started businesses shortly after she was born. And, you know, they're like little sponges and you don't even realize what they are picking up. And then they start talking about something to a friend and you don't even know they know those kinds of words or understand the business plans because they've been sitting in the corner when you're having all these office, these meetings, and it's just wonderful. So yes, moms, go out there. It's great role models because it's a balancing act, but life is a balancing act. But you know what? Also, it's not about it's quality time. When you go home and you're spending time with your children, then you're really just focused on them. And I think that is wonderful. And it makes a huge difference. So I know I talk to women all the time and I give them ideas and things that have inspired me. What advice are you going to give today to all of our women viewers who are watching us right now, Catherine?
So I find one of the things that I experience just in, you know, meeting a lot of different types of people, we all need help with confidence. You know, even you see the most confident woman in the room. She was insecure walking into the door. You know what I'm saying? So I just think like if we could encourage confidence in women and young girls to be the thing that they think that they are not, that I think would have the hugest impact on the world. And I just think like you can only be yourself. And I think sometimes even in conversation, people say, well, you know, well, what would you do? And it's like, well, it doesn't matter what I would do in this situation. What would you do? You know inherently what to do in all situations. You have it inside of you. And, you know, I've also heard from we have coaches, life coaches, business coaches here, mental health advocates, psychiatrists, and, you know, they all kind of say the same thing. A lot of the times of our work is just reflecting the people that we're speaking to. Everyone knows what's inside of them. And I think the moment that I realized that I had that power, that I could decide what kind of life I wanted to lead or what I wanted to do with myself for the next, you know, whatever, however many years, it's like, it's up to you and you have the power to actualize that. And I think I'm demonstrating that for myself, like every day. I wake up and I'm pinched and I can't even believe this is the life that I'm living. And it's not all rainbows and sunshine, by no means, but it's the life that I have. It's the life that I've created. And I just hope that will inspire my children first and foremost, that, you know, they can truly do whatever it is they want to do. But more so, I hope it inspires other women who are maybe not just starting out, but they're in the middle of a pivot, right? Like, you know, they're in the middle of a mid-career shift. No time better than now to put yourself out there, take the leap. I always say this too, done is better than perfect, and leap, then look, right? Like the safety net will show up. It has always shown up for me. And I don't just attribute that just because I have good business sense. I just think that's how it all happens. Like, you just put yourself out there. Vulnerability is just a way of life.
Absolutely.
And I never want my girls to grow up thinking that they have to, not be themselves to impress or please other people, and I just think, like, please yourself first. And when you do, everything else it really just falls into place.
Absolutely. And, and I talk a lot about with women and men too, but it's not where you come from, it's where you grow from. And, it's taking responsibility and building yourself up. And it all starts with believing in yourself. And as I like to tell people, we talk a lot when things I do with the ABCs, to always be confident, because when you are confident, it just shows, and you can push those forward, those shoulders back, and just walk and own the world. And sometimes you may not feel it, but it's kind of act as if, and your brain, start to tell your brain, and, move the body, and the brain follows along. But you know what? Those 10 most powerful words, just as you were saying, if it is to be, it is up to me. Nobody gets to do those push-ups for you. Only you can set you forward. And my goodness, Catherine, you are such an inspiration, a ball of fire, a ball of energy. And you know what? We are all thankful here in the Capital Region for the wonderful gift of the palette, and you as the purveyor of fun. So as we start to wind down our time together today, Catherine, what parting words of wisdom in a short little bit would you like to tell everyone who is listening to us this afternoon?
I would just say be open to the possibilities, right? Like, you don't know it all. No one knows it all. No one has a crystal ball. No matter how many, tarot card readers you go to, they can't figure that out, So just be open to the possibilities that, like, everything's going to work out just as it should be. And I know that that's easier said than done, but if anyone can believe that at this point, it's me. So, and I, again, it's like, if I can do these sorts of
living proof,
anybody can.
So, wow, that is powerful, wonderful. This has been so much fun. I can't thank you enough, Catherine, for being our guest here on the Butterfly Effect. Everyone, again, I'm Sharon Burstein, your host today for the Butterfly Effect. We have had the absolute privilege of having the Purveyor of Fun, Catherine Hover, from the palette. And I'll tell you, if you haven't gotten to the palette in Schenectady and the palette in Saratoga, you must simply get there. You'll have a great time. Maybe reserve your seat and just connect with everyone there. So until the next episode of the Butterfly Effect, Catherine, let's wave goodbye and say goodbye to everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.